Welcome back to Court Vision. I'm Luke Backman here with my co-host Vincent Zakian. We got a special Court Vision today. Honestly, now that I think about it, the last Court Vision most likely of the 2026 NBA not regular season, just season in general, as we are previewing the NBA Finals. New York Knicks take on the San Antonio Spurs. Game 1, we're recording this on Monday. Game 1 will be in San Antonio on Wednesday, June 3rd. This is going to be insane. We're going to talk about all the final. We're going to recap a little bit of the last series for both teams. We'll talk about plenty of storylines, X factors, all the stuff here heading into this NBA Finals, a rematch of '99. We're going to talk about it here on Court Vision. Before we do, make sure you like this video. Comment below who you think is going to win, either the Spurs or the Knicks. Let us know in the comments below. And subscribe here to Backman Sports and subscribe to Vincent Zakian's YouTube channel, Vincent Zakian. All right, Vincent, 2 days out. How you feeling heading into this final series of the NBA season?
I'm so excited. This couldn't have worked out better for the league, obviously. The Knicks being in the finals, Wemby has just fully ascended to, probably best player in the league status. And it's such an epic matchup. The Thunder got knocked out, which I think a lot of people were rooting for. I won't say. I'll just say I didn't mind. And the Knicks were clearly the best team in the Eastern Conference, so it doesn't feel like we're getting robbed of anything by injuries, by upsets or anything like that. It feels like these were the two teams that deserved it the most, and it just so happens that there's so much intrigue with these teams. With the Knicks, obviously, with their fan base being as massive as it is. As prominent as it is, plus the Spurs, they're just what they've done this year is pretty much unprecedented as far as young teams growing together, going this far in their first playoff run, and it's just it is a rematch of the '99 Finals, but it feels very new, all of this, and I think that's very exciting.
Rematch of the '99 Finals and a rematch of the NBA Cup. Adam
That's
Silver
right.
must love that. He gets to put that on the ledger. Rematch of that NBA Cup that the Knicks were able to win. Wemby was injured going into the game, or he was on a minute restriction, I believe. I forget what the injury was, but played in that game, but came off the bench in that one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one, I'm excited, to say the least. Taken away just being a Knicks fan, but just this series in general. You have a Knicks team that is playing at an historic level. That's just what they're playing at right now in this moment. And a Spurs team, when you look at it, we've talked about it, and the Spurs have made me, in particular, eat crow the last couple series. I've said, okay, maybe the youth and the inexperience will start to show. And every time it looks like it might, it doesn't. Wemby pulls the team back, and they're able to make runs down 3-2 to OKC. What do they do? Win the next two to win the series. Crazy. I mean, we've talked about this. Hey, they could be – this is their league for the next 15 years or whatever. Well, somehow they're still ahead of schedule in the NBA Finals. It's incredible. Do we want to take a second real quick to recap the conference finals? Or do we, yeah. Obviously, the Knicks, they took care of the Cavs, 4-game sweep. If you've tuned in here on Backman Sports, I recapped each of the games and everything. Really, the only game in question was Game 1. Jalen Brunson led an incredible comeback for the Knicks, and then the next 3 games, the Knicks, they won all of them by double digits, and then closed it out with a 37-point win in Game 4 to reach their first finals since '99, looking for that first chip since '73. Takeaways, Vincent, quickly, I guess, from the Knicks' rout of the Cleveland Cavaliers in the conference finals?
Yeah, the East is weird, but in a better year, the Cavs didn't look like they belonged in an Eastern Conference Finals. Honestly, definitely past years where that's a first-round and out team to me. It felt like despite they went 7 games in the first 2 series, they could have easily been out in the first round this year. They didn't belong in the same court as the Knicks. It's really just that simple. I think we know now that changes have to be made. I think the past couple of years it's been okay. Yeah, Donovan's good, but we're still waiting to see about Mobley, and we're still waiting to see about Garland before they traded him. They made it this year so that with the most expensive team in the league and with James Harden on your team, essentially providing you with an ultimatum, it's like put up or shut up time, and they did not put up. So we'll see what happens with that. Honestly, I just feel like there's not a lot to say on the Cavs in terms of like where they can go. They kind of used all their bullets, and now is there like a potential Giannis trade in there? I kind of doubt it. You have to ask yourself if you are going the Daryl Morey route and denying James Harden the contract you promised him. But yeah, really, not even. I guess I'm disappointed in the Cavs. I picked them to go to the finals before the season. I thought I picked them to beat the Knicks in the conference finals before the season. I didn't pick them in this series, obviously, but yeah, not surprised at all by the Cavs. I thought they were not great. The Knicks, however, just historically amazing run through the Eastern Conference. We talked about it last time because they were up 3-0, I believe, last time we did a podcast. You can talk about the competition all you want, but going, 12-2 in the playoffs, unheard of. Rattling off 11 straight wins. 10 straight wins? 11 straight wins?
10.
10 straight wins. Unheard of. At the point differential they're at, all of it's unheard of. You're getting the best out of Bridges right now. You're getting the best out of Hart right now, Cat, everybody. And yeah, Brunson, I mean, maybe it'll be better to talk about him after the season, but Brunson's solidified himself, I think, as a top 10 player and probably top 2 guard in the league. Him and I would say Edwards, if you don't count Luka, I don't count as a guard. I'd say it's probably Brunson and Edwards are the 2 best guards in the league now. So
I put SGA in there. I put SGA.
Oh yeah, I don't know why I forgot about SGA. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's my fault. Maybe I was just thinking. Well, was I thinking? I don't know. Whatever. Eastern Conference or something like that. But yeah, definitely SGA is number 1. But yeah, Brunson's right there for sure. Him and Edwards and like Cade. But this is the best playoff, maybe the best playoff riser in the league right now in Jalen Brunson. So yeah.
Yeah, no, just another throttling by the Knicks in this past series. Won't speak on it too long.
Yeah.
You mentioned perfectly, getting the best out of everybody. Hart, game 1, can't shoot threes. Shamet comes in, hits incredible. Shamet shot 92.1% from 3 in the conference finals. He missed 1 3-pointer. OG Anunoby for the playoffs is shooting 59% from the field and 51% from 3-point range.
Wow.
It's unbelievable what this team is playing, the level they're playing at right now, and obviously it's going to be a big test. But yeah, I mean, the level of competition, not up to par, but the Knicks are running through them, so it is what it is. Now moving out west, just an incredible series. Game 1, classic. Game 4, great Wemby game in particular. Then Game 5, Thunder go up 3-2. Go back to San Antonio, and everyone just felt, I'm sure I felt it, I'm sure you as well, that Wemby and the Spurs were going to take Game 6 at home, and it was going to set us up for what we got, a Game 7 in OKC. But the young Spurs, I mean, back to the wall in the series, down 3-2 to the defending champs, and come back to win the series and head to the finals. Vincent, What have you learned from the Spurs, and maybe just recap, or what your thoughts are about that Western Conference Finals?
What they're doing is unprecedented. The Spurs, I'm trying to think of like the examples. It's like not coming to me. You just don't see teams, no matter like even if they've got a generational guy on their team, you got to go through you got to build up the playoff scar tissue before you can make a finals run like this. Even like the Pacers, people felt like came out of nowhere last year. The Pacers went to the finals last year. They were in the conference finals the year before. Like even that team that nobody really expected had some scar tissue built up. It didn't come out of nowhere. Obviously, the Knicks are in the finals this year, lost in the conference finals last year. It's just you just don't see this, especially with young teams who just kind of need to go through things. They've just looked ready at every turn, and it's obviously led by Wemby, who is just a freakish competitor player. I think he's probably the best player in the league right now, and it's really special. The Thunder, look, they suffered from the injuries to J-Dub, and A.J. Mitchell really made it so that the ball could only be in Shea's hands, especially at the end of the game. And Shea was sensational in Game 7. He deserves absolutely zero blame for how this Thunder season has ended, somewhat disappointingly. What's really fascinating to me, Luke, about all this is that the Spurs have completely reversed the narrative on what we were saying before the season about, who's going to stop the Thunder for the next 3 to 4 years. and now it's who's going to stop the Spurs.
Yeah.
And again, they didn't even like. It wasn't a thing where like the Thunder were the team that they had to overcome. Like think about LeBron with the Celtics, or like Jordan with the Pistons in the 90s. Like he had to have the losses, and then when he finally overcame them, that's when he started dominating the league. Wemby came up against this team and just swept them to the side. I mean, it was a very tough series, obviously, but he just beat the fact that he went out and beat this team at the first time of asking is a total shock and goes against pretty much all of NBA history. And the fact that this Thunder team can be built this well and is like staring down the barrel of just one championship being what defines them as a team because Wemby's not going anywhere is absolutely stunning to me, really. Yeah, I don't think the Thunder needs to like make any moves. I'm sure conversations will be had about Chet, but I don't. You kind of got to just throw your hands up and be like, those guys are insane over there, and they're only getting better.
Well, you talk about not making any moves, and quickly before I even talk about that, Chet, terrible, Game 7. I've seen people say, can he even come back? Chet's young,
1 for
whatever.
2.
Yeah, I saw someone sarcastically was like, everyone's mad at him. He shot 50% in game 7. Like, there's a caveat. Yeah, he looked terrified of Wemby. And Wemby, whether it's just personal since they were 16 and Chet won the MVP of the Euro tournament they had against the U.S. in France, and like he's just since then had a mission to headhunt Chet. Well, it's gone in favor of Wemby. Talked about moves. Talked about Giannis over for the losers in the East. What about Giannis for the Thunder? That's a little bit of rumblings. People are like, oh, and I remember there was talks about it 2 years ago. Not talks where the two teams talked, but the fact that just the picks, the players that the Thunder had then was like, hey, man, I mean, they could make a great offer for Giannis, but then they won last year, so it's like, why would you shake that up? Now, I mean, when you look at the archetype and the prototype of a build that you need to try and stop Wemby, or the only person that could maybe guard him one-on-one, just straight up, and give him a little bit of trouble, that'd have to be Giannis Antetokounmpo. And you wonder. And again, for your OKC, you're saying, hey, we think we win this series if J-Dub and AJ Mitchell are both healthy and both can handle the ball. So it's a fine line. You wonder if the Thunder will, because I'd assume they'd have to package either Chet or J-Dub, one of the two, in a trade for Giannis. I'm sure that Milwaukee would make them do that, and just the salaries to match, because since they both extended all three, SGA, J-Dub, and Chet last year. It's a thought. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I think the Milwaukee Bucks, I think I heard Colin Cowherd say this, the Milwaukee Bucks came away the biggest winner of the Western Conference Finals just drove the price up, because who's going to stop Wemby? Well, Giannis maybe has the best chance, at least one-on-one, to try and slow him down.
That would be unreal. I mean, like before the season, I was thinking about like what it would be like if they were teammates. But if Giannis and Wemby had to face each other in a conference finals, that would be insane. If you're the Thunder, you can, and I think the most likely scenario is that they just talk themselves into, we didn't have, two guys who can handle the ball outside of Shea, two excellent players, although like there's a chance AJ Mitchell's playing somewhere else because he's got such a cheap contract and someone's going to want to get him. But you also have to look at the other side of it and be like, dude, Dylan Harper's a rookie. And Stephon Castle's in his second year and had like 20 turnovers in the first 2 games of the series. Like these guys are going to be like all-stars going forward, and they're not even at that level yet. But you can see the trajectory they're on. This was probably the time to get them if that core stays together and stays healthy. And Wemby's not a finished product either. Like you're gonna have to get better to stay the same. I think is what the deal is gonna be. You're gonna have to get better to stay competitive with San Antonio. If you're the Thunder, and if that means Giannis, I'd say do it. I know they love like all of their youth and all that, but I'd like to see it. I think that would be the move for the Thunder.
It would be crazy. Oh crap! I was just about to say something. Oh yeah, I think it was Brian Windhorst who said, this is going to be the worst Spurs team for the next decade because they're so young, because they're so inexperienced. No one's going to get worse than what they are right now, or you at least don't count on it. this will be the worst Spurs team for the next decade with this core. So right up your alley with that point, man, you just made. It'll be an interesting one. To Sam Presti, he's already a genius, GM.
Yeah.
Well, let's see with a little pressure, not pressure, but let's see what he cooks up this summer. One of my friends who's a Thunder fan, already texted me. I can't wait to see what Presti does this offseason because you got to tweak something.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's the right guy for the job. All right, that was the appetizer. Here's the main entree. The NBA Finals. Knicks, Spurs, both advance. Vincent, before we go deep into it, just first thoughts on this matchup. What you like, what you don't like. Thoughts on the matchup of Knicks, Spurs in the NBA Finals.
I think like a lot of people went into the conference finals being like, all right, the Knicks are probably going to beat the Cavs, and the Spurs can beat the Thunder, but the Spurs would probably be the better matchup for New York. It's harder to see that now that we've seen like what just how unafraid the Spurs are, and like how unbelievable Wemby is, and how many possessions he affects throughout the game. So I want to stick to that. I thought the Western Conference Finals would be like the champion, but it's tough to say that with how well the Knicks are playing. We'll see what this layoff has done for them, for sure. Like that'll have some effect. And the Spurs are a team that start games really well. Like that, they did that pretty much the entire series against OKC. Maybe game 2 they started kind of slow, but outside of that, even the games they lost, they were getting out to leads against OKC pretty much every time. So the Knicks, they need to come out with some real fire, I think, in game 1 on Wednesday night, and I think they probably will. But you also worry they're on this incredible hot streak shooting wise, and having the days off might kind of hurt that a little bit. But I think the Knicks absolutely have. I mean, it's elementary to say, but I feel as good about the Knicks right now as I have the entire season, and I think they can hang with pretty much anybody. So the difficulty is going to be, obviously, it's going to start with Wemby, and they are weirdly well built for it, which is why I think people felt good about the matchup going in. Cat obviously shoots a lot of threes, but it draws Wemby out of the paint, right? Opens up some driving lanes. Mitchell Robinson hurt his finger, but if there's one guy who, you don't really have to worry about his shooting hand being hurt, you don't have to worry about his touch around the hoop, it's Mitchell Robinson, and it looks like he's going to play, which is pretty incredible coming off of finger surgery. So I think the Knicks are well built for it, and we'll see. They're going to put those young guards to the test, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I agree. And again, as a Knicks fan, I've said, like you said, the entire postseason that obviously, other than the lower seeds in the West, and maybe Denver because we take care of Denver, I think San Antonio is the best matchup for the Knicks because of our ability to guard Wemby. And now the way they're playing and the way they're shooting, it's been incredible. I think a 5-out lineup is going to be huge. It's going to be similar to Game 2, I think, because Wemby will probably be the guy guarding Josh Hart so he can roam and he can get back to the paint. And it's going to force Josh Hart. You got to hit threes. And we saw in Game 2 against the Cleveland Cavaliers, Josh Hart, when he hit threes, changed how Cleveland was going to play defense. When he didn't hit threes in Game 1, Mike Brown had to pull him for Landry Shamet, and then Shamet started hitting threes and the game turned. Obviously, Wemby's no Jared Allen, right? That's just a fact. So the next OG and Mikal Bridges is going to have to be huge. OG, you're going to get a lot of time on Victor Wembanyama. And OG's proven stats-wise over the last few years, he's been one of the better defenders. Obviously, the two teams don't play as much as the teams play out west against each other. But OG's defended Wemby very well. And then you mentioned Mitchell Robinson. If it isn't Cat in the game, it's Mitchell Robinson, the big man. And when Wemby turns and he gets around, that's where Mitchell Robinson's going to have to be. I mean, how Mitchell Robinson is it to have a non-basketball-related injury during this off break? I mean, before, I think it was last series, he was playing with pet snakes in his yard. He was, holding snakes, and he was naming them. I remember Stephen A.'s if he gets injured outside or if he gets snake bit before the conference finals, I'm going to lose it. Well, he broke his right pinky. Luckily, had surgery. Seems like he's going to play. love to see hopefully magically when they gave him surgery, it fixes his free throws. It won't, but one can only hope for Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
I
can't
just
get
think
worse.
say that again.
It can't get worse.
No, not a chance. Again, it's the crowd and MSG will rise to their feet because we're just trying to support him because we know how rare it is for him to hit some free throws, and which is crazy because last year in the postseason he actually hit a lot of free throws. He shot pretty well from the free throw line, but this year it is what it is. I think the wing stop combo of Bridges and Anunoby are going to have to try and slow down. Anunoby, when he's not on Wemby, going to have to slow down the guards. Brunson, I will say, obviously teams have hunted Brunson. I'm sure the Spurs will too on defensively. Brunson will get a little bit of a break, I shall say, because he's going to guard Julian Champagny. And Champagny isn't the roamer or the cutter that I'd say some of the other guys he's had to guard. Obviously, they try and put him on the three-point specialist that doesn't move that much. Champagny's kind of like, I'm going to catch and I'm going to shoot. So hopefully, and he's not a great screener. I think Harper and Castle I saw are better screeners than Champagny. Again, stats, whatever you want to make of them. So that'll help the Knicks defense, and it's elite. And then you got the combo of Deuce McBride, Landry Shamet, Jose Alvarado, those guards coming off the bench. It'll be a big series, and I think it's got to be not a Cat series, but Cat's got to play well. Like you said, draw Wemby out when Wemby guards him. Maybe try and get him into some foul trouble. And I think offensive rebounding for the Knicks is going to be crucial.
Yeah.
Because the Thunder did pretty well in the glass, at least cleaning up their own misses at points against this Spurs team. And we know Mitchell Robinson, he's an all-time offensive rebounder in league history. Like, the stats back that up. I think he was number 2 all-time earlier this season. I don't know what it is right now. You got to get on the glass, and that's where, again, Josh Hart comes in out of nowhere, getting those rebounds as well. It's going to be an interesting series. Again, I like the matchup, but part of me wants to say, the inexperience, the young guys, it'll be their first finals. But I'm sick of saying that because the Spurs haven't made, that doesn't matter to the San Antonio Spurs one bit about being inexperienced or being young at this point.
Yeah, it hasn't. On the Spurs side, I'll be interested to see what we get out of Fox. I think he'll probably have some favorable matchups. And he's he's a great natural scorer. And I'm really happy for Fox too. He's had a good career. He's kind of been underrated, maybe then a little overrated, but he was on that awesome Light the Beam team, and now he gets to do this. And he had a good Game 7.
I saw one second before you go forward. I saw a tweet saying, De'Aaron Fox gives you the greatest 2-for-9 performance in a game. And it's so true because when he handles the ball, it just takes the weight off Castle's shoulders. We saw when Fox was out, 20 turnovers in 2 games, like you said earlier. Yeah. Like, when he runs and handles the ball and runs the offense, it feels so much smoother for the Spurs opposed to when they have Castle or make Harper have to do it. Young guys that against the pressure of a Thunder in that Western Conference Finals. It's a little troublesome, and Castle more of a 2-guard than a 1-guard.
Yeah, and things rarely work out like exactly how you want them to work out in sports, but the 3-guard rotation that they went into this year with has worked out pretty much exactly how you want it to, with how, Castle can just be like a wrecking ball on defense, and he's, maybe a touch over-aggressive on offense, but Fox really balances that out with like his grace and his patience, and then Harper can come in off the bench and just kind of get where he wants on his drives. It's incredible for a rookie. And I just think that rotation's been huge. But also, it's like the Knicks they have the guys to throw at you. They have a million wings who make it very difficult for you to score. It feels like the Knicks have more. This has been their thing all season. They've got more guys who can like beat you multiple ways, who are like multi-skilled. And the Spurs have all these guys who just fit into convenient little boxes, right? They've got they're shooters. They're, guards. They've got these guys who are excellent ball handlers at guard but aren't like fully developed in the rest of their game, and Harper and Castle, who had to survive the guards of Oklahoma City for 7 games and did it really well, bringing the ball up the court. It feels like this Knicks roster is like they're in such different places. The Knicks roster is like maxed out, as good as it's going to be. Everybody's like in their prime, playing as well as they can. And the Spurs are like just scratching the surface of what they're going to be. So in that sense, it feels like there's a lot of urgency here for the Knicks. There's a lot of necessity. that they're catching the Spurs at the best possible time in terms of where they're going to be the next few years, and they're all in the Knicks. Like, I mean, we know that they're paying a ton of money to their team. They've made a ton of big trades, and it does all come down to this. And that kind of desperation, it makes me want to pick the Knicks a little bit, especially since I just feel like Brunson is kind of levitating above everyone else in this series as far as like who you want with the ball down the stretch of these games. You just have to not let things get. If you're the Knicks, you just have to not let things get away from you when it comes to Wemby, and the Knicks don't. Wemby can't bully these guys like he did, Chet Holmgren, and to a degree Isaiah Hartenstein, who spent the entire series fouling him. Obviously Robinson will give it back, but also like Hart and Anunoby for sure. Like these are just like strong dudes, and they're veterans. And, like they're not like they're really like mentally tough. I don't know. I think I'm really talking myself into a Knicks series win here, Luke.
It's funny, like, welcome to the dark side. But before we make predictions, which we will, I don't know. I know you just got done work, but Jeremy Sochan, obviously, he played with the Spurs earlier this season, started his career in San Antonio. Now with the Knicks, they picked him up the trade deadline. A reporter interviewed him, asking him, "Hey, like, obviously you got both sides," and he said, "I'm giving all the info to the Knicks about San Antonio," which is okay, cool. But he was saying some stuff that really interests me, and it was really about that Wemby. Like, he's like, you got to tire him out. Like, yes, you can be physical and all the stuff, and you can foul him, but just the simple things of making him run full court, making him run side to side, trying to defend as well, that's going to tire him out. He even said something to, I'm paraphrasing, trying to remember the entire quote, but to a degree, he's like, he's not going to play, or he's going to take plays off. He basically said he's going to take plays off, and we saw that in some of the games against Oklahoma City. And we talked about this because I believe OKC was up 2-1 at the time we recorded, either 2-1 or 1-1, and they were playing that night. But that was right after Hartenstein was grabbing them, and they didn't call any fouls. But it felt like, okay, he was a little invisible offensively. And then Game 3 came, and it was the same way. Then Game 4, he is incredible. Game 5, a little invisible offensively. Defensively, he's everywhere. But sometimes he doesn't get as many shots up as a 7-footer should, or he takes too many threes, and he's not in the paint as much. And again, I think that's something, like, for a young guy, for Wemby, like, yes, he's a great, one of the best, if not the best player in the NBA right now, will be for the next decade plus. But he's also playing minutes he's never played in before. I mean, I think they said in Game 3 of the series, he hadn't played that many minutes in a 3-game stretch all year. And that was obviously aided because there was a double OT game in Game 1. But this guy's going to get tired at times, and that's when the Knicks have to take advantage. They have to take advantage when Luke Cornett comes in the game. Luke Cornett had an awful series, and then Game 7, he comes in the most pivotal minutes that he could possibly have. Wemby has 5 fouls down the stretch. Luke Cornett, he comes in, he looks like LeBron James, chase down block on the other end. You got to win those minutes, and when Wemby's tired, and he's beat, and he's getting pushed around physically, like, that's when you have to take advantage. Because there are going to be opportunities. It's going to be give and take with Wemby. There's going to be games where he's just unstoppable. It looks like the greatest player of all time. And there's also going to be games in the middle of, great and not, where he's like, okay, he doesn't have it tonight, as he did maybe last night when he was hitting everything. That's where the Knicks have to take advantage. So I thought it was funny that Sochan was talking about that. I do think, I agree with everything he was saying. I hate that he said it to a reporter, because that's just bulletin board material for Wemby. And if there's anybody in this league that I think he might literally have a bulletin board somewhere in his house. He prints it out, or maybe he writes it down old school, writes all it down and then tacks it up to a bulletin board. And that kind of scares me. But I agree with what he was saying, and I think he makes some great points about, hey, just tire him out, because at points he will take some plays off.
Yep. Wemby's definitely got like that vengeful side to him, for sure. We saw it all series long. So, yeah, I feel like maybe that's a little overrated from Sochan. I think most of what teams can gather in terms of information about how to stop a guy, they can just gather from watching the games, or else, more teams would probably have the answers, and based on like what players you have, because I feel like it's not. There isn't like some secret to stopping Wemby. Yeah, that stuff's usually kind of a myth. It's just kind of the basic things, like you said. Just tire him out and make his life as difficult as possible in every possession. And the Knicks are really well built for that.
Yeah, and I do think you're also talking about kind of the depth of the Spurs a little bit. That is one of the reasons I like this matchup more than the Spurs matchup, because obviously the Thunder, fully healthy and fully equipped, their depth is arguably, if not easily, the best in the league. And the Knicks, their depth has played a key role. Shamet, Deuce, Alvarado, Jordan Clarkson sometimes, and obviously Mitchell Robinson as well. I think I like the bench for New York and the depth that New York goes more against the Spurs than I would against the Thunder. Obviously, a Cornette comes in the game. A sixth man of the year, Keldon Johnson, comes into the game. Johnson, he had a tough series up until Game 7. Yeah. And so it's like, okay, does Game 7 get him going, or is it going to kind of regress a little bit back? But, I like that bench of the Knicks, and you mentioned it earlier. Just they have different ways to win, New York, and that wasn't the case last year. It was Jalen Brunson. You're going to dribble the ball for 20 seconds in the fourth quarter and create something. Props to Mike Brown, Leon Rose. I mean, OG, Mikal, all of these guys are playing phenomenally at the moment, and it feels like it could be any dude's night. I think that's going to be the key to success offensively, at least against the Spurs.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, we could say X factors in this series, and then we can just go into predictions. X factor for either of these teams?
Stephon Castle springs to mind for me for the Spurs. Obviously, he's probably the second best player on the team already, so maybe that's not an X factor. Keldon Johnson would be huge too, just having that kind of bench scoring on a team that's gonna need it, a team that's probably tiring out a little bit. Again, because they're not used to going this deep in the playoffs. They're used to shorter seasons and whatnot. But Castle is going to, I would imagine, see a lot of Jalen Brunson. And he can be extremely effective defensively, obviously. But he's also, we kind of learned in the OKC series, he is an emotional, headstrong player. And he is going into the most hostile environment he's ever going to see in his life, in Madison Square Garden, and he's going to be up against a guy who is very frustrating to play against in Jalen Brunson, if you're guarding him, and I'd imagine that the Spurs would like that matchup as much as one can possibly like a matchup against Brunson when they get Castle guarding him. And it's up to Castle to not lose his mind when Brunson whips his head back and gets a foul call, and when he's being jeered by the entirety of Madison Square Garden, Spike Lee and Ben Stiller and Timothy Chalamet. So if Castle can keep his head on his shoulders, you're just not going to have a lot of success against Brunson. You're not going to make his life that difficult. He's just too tough a guard. But I would tell him to stay calm, I suppose, and not lose your cool like you kind of did against the Thunder, who are equally frustrating to play against. So we'll see if he learns from that in that sense. Who do you have?
Yeah. I know for the Knicks, I'm going Mitchell Robinson. I talked about just defensively against Wemby, what it'll have to mean, and then offensive rebound. I think that's gonna be huge for the Knicks. Getting second chance opportunities and kickouts for threes, I think that'll be huge. For the Spurs, I'm looking at Julian Champagnie. I mean, the one game the Spurs beat the Knicks in this regular season, I don't really care about the regular season stats or whatever, or the matchups, but Champagnie hit 11 or 12 threes. Obviously, the Knicks defense is revamped. I don't anticipate that happening again. But he didn't have a great series against OKC. A lot of these Spurs players didn't necessarily have great series. I mentioned Cornette, Johnson, and Champagnie. He did hit some threes now and then, but just wasn't a clean shooting three-point percentage throughout the entire series for Champagnie. If he's able to get going, that makes the Spurs team a little more dangerous, especially kicking out these guards, kicking out De'Aaron Fox looking for him. So I'd say Robinson and Champagnie for the Spurs. Those are my two.
Champagnie and also Vassell are big in this series, because if they can just kind of access another element to their game, you know what I mean? They're very good players, and they've been really good for the Spurs this year. But to get past these Knicks wings and to win like at the Garden, I feel like you just kind of have to access something a little more special in these big games, especially if if the moment's a little big for Harper, or if Castle's like in a world of trouble getting, maybe racking up fouls guarding Brunson or something like that. Fox will give you like a couple 2 of 9 games, like you mentioned before. Like while I love these guards and I think they're a strength of the Spurs team, they are a touch unpredictable, and so you kind of want Vassell, who's a very talented player, and Champagne. You want them to be steady around Wemby, who is going to be fine.
Vincent, last question before we make predictions. Quick one here.
Yeah.
I've seen this on Twitter. I've been intrigued by it. It's a little bit of a head scratcher. Obviously, each team has their bias and their fan bases. Can you rank the top 5 players in this series?
Ooh, it's a good question. I mean, it's Wemby's number 1, Brunson's number 2.
Now this is where it gets interesting, and I've seen people's lists start to go back and forth.
Right, and we see this a good amount where it's like the best player will be on one team, and then like the next 4 will be like from the other team. So like after that, you'd probably go like Cat and Anunoby, and in these playoffs, Bridges, and then maybe you'd find yourself at Castle, Fox, Harper territory. But yeah, and I mean the way Shamet's been playing, Shamet's probably the best shooter in the series now. Like that's that's a huge thing in the playoffs, and Mitchell Robinson the best rebounder in the series. But yeah, it feels like Wemby's fully arrived, fully formed player. He's the best player in the league probably now. But the other guys have some catching up to do, and that's where the Knicks' depth and just a bunch of guys who are like almost at their ceiling. They're like they're high floor, almost at their ceiling guys, and so in that sense, yeah, if I was ranking the top 5 in the series, it's probably Wemby, Brunson, Cat, Anunoby. Then I'd maybe have Castle, and then I'd have Bridges, I think, probably.
Okay, yeah, that would be my 5. The conversation I've seen the most at is people saying, is Castle better than OG? And I think that's a fair argument, but I think this playoffs, I mean, I mentioned the numbers for OG earlier.
I think he's just been unreal. Yeah,
he does it both ways. I'm not saying Castle doesn't. He's a great defender in his own right as well. But maybe that is a little bit of the inexperience in turning the ball over a good portion we've seen from Castle. No knock. I think they're neck and neck, but I'd have to go to OG as well at that 4 spot. All right, it's time. I'm actually interested to see your prediction. We're going to make predictions here because it feels like you've been back and forth. And I think you know where I'm going, right? You see Melo over his shoulder. Where are you going? What is your non-biased prediction? I'm a Knicks fan. For anyone who doesn't know, tuning in for the first time. Vincent Zakian, who are you predicting to win the finals, and in how many games?
I think it is the Knicks moment. I think the Knicks are going to win in 7 games.
7 games.
So they'd be closing it out in San Antonio then. I think they have the best, despite the fact that Wemby's in this game, I think the Knicks have the best end-of-game scoring option. It's been so long since I've seen like even a close Knicks game, except for like game 1 of the Cavs series. It's like I can't imagine them like getting blown out. And so if a game's close, if there's not a lot between the two teams, I want to take the team with the guy who can close games better than anyone in the league right now. That's Jalen Brunson. And yeah, it feels like this has to be it for the Knicks. It might never get this good again, where they're playing this well, the roster's in this kind of place, everything feels harmonious. It doesn't feel like a magical, like fluky run either. It just feels like they've got the roster they've built. It's not like they've got, Brunson isn't like one of the top 5 players in the league in my opinion, but it feels like everybody is so good, so multiple, so solid, so steady right now, so focused. And while they've proven us wrong at every turn in the playoffs, there is still something wobbly, maybe a little uncertain about San Antonio outside of Wemby, who is going to have an amazing series and is going to light the Garden on fire and do all that. When I look at the rest of the rosters, I just feel so good about what the Knicks best players are going to bring you. Even though people would say that they want about Cat, what they want about him. I feel like he's just been doing the right things this whole playoff run. And yeah, I think the championship's coming back to New York in 7 games, and I mean, what a world that would be.
That's a world I'd love to live in. Another one I'd love to live in is Knicks in 6, because I don't have to stress heading into Game 7. I got the Knicks in 6 in this one.
All right.
I think the key, the roadmap to an NBA Finals victory is you steal 1 of 2 in San Antonio. Obviously, every visiting team is thinking that way, right? Going into a series, you steal 1 of the first 2, you gain back home court advantage. Well, then when you get it, if you're able to get it, you don't give it up. You win both in the Garden, Games 3 and Games 4.
Yeah.
You drop 1 in San Antonio because Wemby's going to put his team on the back in front of the home crowd, and then you close it out in the Garden for Game 6. Again, I don't know if I'm biased. I know the ins and outs of this team. I feel like the Knicks are the better team, or maybe not the better team, the better roster of the 2 teams. I think with the heights that Wemby can reach, maybe the Spurs are indeed the better team. They obviously face tougher competition during the stretch. I think you said it perfectly too, wobbly. It just feels like sometimes you don't know what San Antonio Spurs team you're going to get. Will they be, this team's the greatest thing ever, or is it going to be, these look like some young guys? And I think in this series, the Knicks will really make them pay if it's the latter. Jalen Brunson, I can't just begin to describe the amount of confidence I have in Jalen Brunson, whether that be just clutch moments or just running this offense. Granted, my mood for the next 2 weeks depends on what he does this series and the Knicks do. So my life's in your hands, Jalen Brunson, as a lot of New Yorkers are
It might be your mood for the next year.
Yeah. Honestly, for my life, last time, the Knicks won a championship, I mean, that's 53 years ago. If we get to this opportunity, who knows when we win it again or have this close of an opportunity. The role players are playing incredible. I think we have the ability to slow down Wemby, not stop him, but slow him down. And I think when you get to the Garden, you just got to take 1 of 2 in San Antonio. And I'm going to be interested after this long layoff. What did they learn from the long layoff between the semifinals and conference finals in the East? That they played well for the first quarter and a half, and then they had a 12 to 16 minute stretch where they were terrible, and the Cavs took advantage of that. How do they make sure that's not the case? And then finally, the mindset of this team. After every game, it's corny, it's cliche, but after every game, everyone has said 0-0. There was no celebration, no beers, no champagne after the conference finals. Jalen Brunson, I was watching video, he was like, why are we taking a picture? We're not done. Everyone's been saying 4 more. They know what they got to do. I got the Knicks in 6. I wouldn't be surprised to see if it goes 7. Either way, I saw someone say this, and this is how I feel. If Jalen Brunson is 48 minutes away from delivering an NBA championship, I got faith in Jalen Brunson. So that's how I'm feeling. Knicks in 6. Wouldn't be surprised if 7, but I'm going Knicks in 6. You're going Knicks in 7.
Yeah, the Eagles just traded A.J. Brown. I just saw the notification pop up.
Oh, wow. So Vincent is about to be preoccupied. Glad we're wrapping this up.
I got to go record a YouTube video now.
Do you know where? Did it say where?
Patriots. First.
Okay, so the secret's finally public, or what's
28 first, 27 fifth.
First round.
We got him for a first, and we traded him for a first. It's pretty damn good.
Miles Garrett.
Whatever. That's not what we're talking about. Yeah, Miles Garrett on the move. Crazy day.
June 1st.
June 1st. Yeah.
June 1st. June 3rd is the day we're all going to be waiting for. Knicks versus Spurs. Game 1 of the NBA Finals, live in San Antonio for 2, then the MSG, and then we'll see what happens the next 3 if, they're needed. All right, I got Knicks in 6. Vincent's got Knicks in 7. Let us know down below who you got and how many games. Make sure you like this video. Of course, comment your prediction and subscribe here to both Backman Sports and Vincent Zakian. Final episode of the 2026 season. Appreciate everybody tuning in, and we'll see who will be the NBA champion. All right, that's all we got. Peace, everybody.